Hello and welcome to this episode of Peak Life. We are getting the latest on a very big study that is currently being conducted by the planning department. It's the Greenbrier area plan. So here to tell us all about it, Nat McCormick from the planning department. Thanks for being here, Nat.
Thanks for having me.
This study is a really cool one. It's been going on for over a year now, I think.
Yeah, about 15 months.
Okay, catch us up to speed. Remind me what this plan is all about and where are we?
Sure. So we kicked off the project last January at the beginning of the new year. Greenbrier is the economic heart of Chesapeake. It is also really the center of the Hampton Roads region. So this is an important place. Our purpose of the study is three primary things. One is we have a place that's economically strong and important to the city of Chesapeake. We want to maintain that strength in the next generation. But there will be changes that need to occur. The economy is not the same now as it was even 5 years ago. So we're looking at how to shape the Greenbrier of the future. What does it look like physically? And finally, that we remain a growing city in Chesapeake. Our population is projected to grow another 50,000 people over the next generation. So we want to accommodate new families with places to work and places to live.
So this study has been really cool to follow along with. It has been fun to see how you guys get out into the community. It has required so much community input. Talk to me a little bit about how you've been collecting that and some of the things you've been hearing.
I'm glad you asked that because for all of these projects that we do in planning, community input is fundamental. So we make every effort to get out and talk to people who live and work in these communities and certainly know more than we do. So we learn a great deal and the input we get informs the direction of this study and other studies. So there's so much that we've learned. We're looking at a huge area in Greenbrier, so this is one of our biggest studies now, I think the biggest study. Lots of interesting things we've heard, both expected and unexpected.
Okay.
We know that people appreciate the shopping opportunities that are there.
Yes.
People also appreciate some of the natural amenities there. They love the city park, they love Oak Grove, they love the Arboretum. And that goes back to the history of Greenbrier as a nursery. So maintaining trees and places for recreation are important for the community.
So I think such an important piece, if I can jump in there, you guys focus on three different kind of classified areas of study. So there is currently a lot of good in Greenbrier. And so you talk about preserve, enhance, and transform. So there is so much in Greenbrier that it sounds like you're hearing is working well, is wonderful, and we want to preserve. Tell me about how you use those three distinctions to kind of decide what to do in the different spaces in Greenbrier.
Yeah, that's important to emphasize. We're approaching this with Greenbrier as a strong place, not a weak place at all. And we came up with those three terms to generally categorize the areas in this very large overall area. So for instance, most of the neighborhoods that are around the central business area are very strong and we don't need to intervene there. So those we identified as preserve areas. They're good. Enhance is kind of the next step where an area might be fundamentally strong, but maybe there's something missing. Does the sidewalk need to be completed, or would a bike path be helpful in that area? So those are the enhance category.
Okay.
And then the major category that people might have the greatest interest in is transform.
Yeah.
And
Let's
those are
talk
areas.
about those.
Okay.
Those are the fun parts. So obviously the big one being Greenbrier Mall.
Yes.
Greenbrier Mall. I know
That's
I should
right.
distinguish that because I think everybody when they think of Greenbrier section, if you are not living or working in Chesapeake, or in Greenbrier, I don't
Right.
live there, so I think the shopping, like
to
you
the
had
mall.
said. I think the mall. I think the
Yep.
shopping sites. So talk to me about the transformation pieces that we might be looking at because that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And we've ended up focusing on 4 sites, but let's start
Okay.
with the mall. Everybody knows the Greenbrier Mall.
Yes.
If you don't live there, you have probably gone there to shop. This isn't unique to Chesapeake. Malls are having challenges all over the country. There's been a rise in online shopping. People have found it more convenient to purchase things in different ways. So malls really have to reinvent themselves at this moment in time. And the Greenbrier Mall is among those that has seen a drop in occupancy, and we're all wondering what the future looks like. So that is an opportunity site for us to look at carefully and say, can the mall continue as it is, or what interventions can ownership make to bring it back to life, or does the area get reinvented as something else that might be more dynamic and bring everybody back?
And the other areas, some people might not even realize that they're in Greenbrier, right? The hospital on Battlefield Boulevard, is that one of the other
It
areas?
is. So, and that's a really interesting contrast because Chesapeake Regional is a tremendous asset to the area, to Chesapeake. And what we're doing there is looking at some of the areas around the hospital, which would remain as it is, and we were actually calling that a health village, where what if we could build housing for seniors, where they are close to facilities in the hospital, which is useful. We might create a series of walking paths that allow both the residents and people at the hospital to get some recreation, even take them up to Oak Grove. So we're trying to connect the terrific amenities that already exist to some of these areas to make them stronger.
And so just so we all understand, because I think this is a common question that we get, this is a plan, it is guidance, and it helps the city put in the infrastructure to support these plans. I think we get the question sometimes like, oh, does the city own the mall?
Right.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
But the plan can help us put in the correct infrastructure. Is that kind of the point in zoning?
I'm glad you asked the question. It really is a partnership between the public and the private. The city does not own, as you mentioned, most of these sites we're looking at. So we rely on the private sector to actually make the changes, to initiate the changes. What we can do as a public body is create the infrastructure. So there are certainly street improvements we're looking at. We talked about sidewalks and bike paths and creating amenities that better connect the whole Greenbrier area.
Okay.
So there's a role for both sides.
So really, again, pointing to the need for that community input from just anybody in the community, those specific stakeholders, and you've got some opportunities coming up. What is our next input opportunity?
Great, that's it. So on May 22nd, we have a third public meeting scheduled. We did a kickoff one last June, which was really presenting the project and getting input from people. We held our last one in November, where we showed the public some initial plans, including the Greenbrier site and the Regional Health Center and others. And we've taken their input and continued our conversations to refine those plans. So when we come out on May 22nd, we will be showing what we feel are refined plans that have incorporated all of these comments. And we're going to be, so people have seen those before, but we'll be showing two new things that folks may be interested in seeing. One is the written planning document. So we are capturing all of the existing conditions, all of the public input we've gotten through these meetings, through surveys. We had 3 different public surveys over the course of the project. We've been out in the community talking to different groups, so this has been an ongoing effort. And we're going to show some design guidelines, which is a tool we use in planning to help shape a community. And a really good example of that is the Dollar Tree's Summit Point development in Greenbrier that has emerged fairly quickly in recent years, and people seem to be really excited about it. And that was an effort, all credit to Dollar Tree, to define the spaces they wanted to create. So you have a mixture of office space, you have housing opportunities, you have new restaurants that are impossible to get a reservation at.
They are very popular.
So it's all good stuff, and you can walk between them.
Yes.
So that's the kind of environment that our design guidelines are hoping to create in other areas of Greenbrier.
I love that. You're taking a look at a little bit of everything from business life to transportation to entertainment to nature and wildlife environment. So much is going on here, and no better time than now for everybody to get involved and to come see these cool plans. So we're going to put information about that meeting up on the screen. Nat, did we forget anything? What else do we have to tell people about this?
I think continue to come out. We want to hear from everybody. It's easy to listen to people who are cheerleaders and support something. It's equally important to hear from people with concerns. And if there's somebody who feels that we're headed in the wrong direction, that's important to know as well. So we've had great attendance at the first 2 meetings. We encourage the same for this 3rd one, and we'll end up with a fantastic product for the city of Chesapeake.
Nat McCormick with the Planning Department, thank you so much for all the work you guys are doing, for giving us the update. We'll send folks to cityofchesapeake.net/Greenbrier so they can see all the info, and we hope that they're going to come out and see you on May 22nd.
I do too.
Thanks
for your time.
That does it for this episode of Peak Life. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.